guys, what's going on? It is T-Carp again for another reading of The Truth Denied. Guys, if you haven't caught the last couple episodes, go back. I've got a playlist of The Truth Denied. It is pretty daggum awesome. Just finished up with the Sierra Kills, that big thing. If you haven't checked it out, please do. We're going to get into Chapter 6, which is NDAs and Naysayers. All right, let's get into this bad boy. During the early progression of the study, an ever-increasing amount of data revealed that the Sasquatch was a human hybrid. The group realized the gravity of this discovery concerning the DNA profile of the Sasquatch. In a blog response, Richard Substad had this to say about the study at this point. 3 nuclear DNA single-gene sequences were sequenced by Ketchum, all of which were within the human ranges, but none of which existed in GenBank. This made 6 out of the 6, 3 complete mito and 3 nuclear single-gene sequences that at the first glance appeared human, or nearly so. But we all realized that there was a problem with the conventional scientific theory that this whole Sasquatch phenomenon was/is a hoax or a mistake. All 6 of them were not present in GenBank, not a single one of them. So indeed, we, again, not Ketchum alone, were on to something. And that was from that. It is important for the reader to understand that from some of my perspective that the Sasquatch genome study consisted of several independent groups. It is my understanding that these groups agreed to work together for a common goal, and each of these groups were strong, independent, driven personalities. This is not a criticism, but an acknowledgement that this is the type of individual needed to successfully engage in a study of this magnitude and significance. Each group had an independent non-disclosure agreement, or NDA, with each other, and it became clear to all the parties that the NDAs needed to be standardized. I am reminded of the saying, never involve lawyers, but this was one of the situations that required legal consultation. A frequent criticism of the study would be, they are only in it for the fame or in the money. The group was definitely aware of the notoriety and possible monetary rewards being the first to scientifically prove the existence of Bigfoot. However, this was a completely self-funded effort. Erickson and Harrison provided the majority of the funding for the outside testing. The group provided their time and expertise free of charge. This was not a university or public grant-funded venture. During the early days of the study, the group naively thought that the scientific community would be fair, open-minded, judging the study based on the science, examining the data, results, including the forensic methods to come to a non-biased, objective conclusion. The group also thought that the Bigfoot research community would be supportive, grateful that the Bigfoot mystery was finally solved. Unfortunately, all involved in the study would find that neither would be true. As a submitter to the Sasquatch genome study, I signed a submitter's NDA. I know that this NDA was different from the NDA between principals of the study. The NDA I signed was not complicated, consisting of 3 major main provisions. I could not divulge any information about the study to include the results of my samples, progress of the study, and results from the other submitters. I could only talk about the results after the study had been published in a journal or made public by the Sasquatch Genome Project in some form. My samples would not be returned. The disposition of the samples I submitted would be decided by the Sasquatch Genome Study. I would receive recognition as a submitter in the published manuscript. The NDA was also an issue constantly harped on by the critics. Confidentiality is a must when one plans to submit a paper for peer review. Depending on the subject matter, a publishing body could refuse to accept a paper for review based solely on the press coverage before submission, along with the amount of information in the public domain concerning the study. I think it's obvious that the project's controversial subject would make confidentiality imperative. Dr. George Hesnick of Germany had this response in a thread concerning the confidentiality agreements. Remarks on why everything takes so long and everything is done so secretively are, in my opinion, not valid. The secret ways Ketchum approaches are again very normal in the world of science, and she is indeed subject to non-disclosure agreements with the journal. However, this cannot hide the fact that Ketchum's ways of doing things is still the most common way of acting in the world of science, and nothing which is unusual, strange, or even unethical. We are not talking about a new species of butterfly. We are probably talking about a new human being. I think more than understandable that Ketchum, after committing so much work in recent years, dreams of being a new Darwin or a new Humboldt or Einstein. Most people would think and act this way. Let's be honest. She knew that she would suffer much potential ridicule for being involved in such a project and still decided to do it. There were several sources that leaked to the press. However, Richard Substad, Bob Schmalzbach, and Derek Randles were the principal leakers. Upon leaving the study, Richard Substad began leaks to the press concerning the Sasquatch Genome Project. When his NDA had expired, he was free to discuss what he knew about the study. He soon struck up a friendship with blogger Robert Lindsay. With Lindsay's intense interest in Bigfoot research, this newfound friendship with Substad would provide Lindsay with misinformation for the next 2 years. The leaks to Lindsay became the foundation for a constant stream of rumors and misinformation. Substad would tell Lindsay his version of events, Lindsay would post them, then other blogs/publications would cite the information. Most of the time, the information was inaccurate or vague, left open to interpretation of the blog authors. Though Substad thought he was doing great service by informing the public, in reality, he did irreparable damage to the study. His opinion of Dr. Ketchum also led to vicious personal attacks, starting unsubstantiated rumors that Dr. Ketchum was only in this for the money. What follows is an exchange from an interview with Robert Lindsay where Substad makes the claim that Dr. Ketchum is only in for profit. Robert Lindsay. The profit motive is what complicated things with the Ketchum. Richard Substad, you think? And probably fame as well. She would like to be remembered in all eternity as the discoverer of Sasquatch. In the comments section of this interview, Substad tried to back off the statement. Unfortunately, the damage was already done. Other blogs took this claim, developing it into the narrative that Dr. Ketchum was money-hungry narcissist, only doing the study for money and fame. Below is Substad's attempt to back it down. One more thing. I'm not bashing Ketchum. She has her own ways of doing things, which are certainly justifiable to her. Regardless of what they are, I certainly hope she is successful using her all-too-secretive approach. Ketchum, meanwhile, is a good scientist, and she definitely means well. While I think it is a shame that both she and I and several others didn't continue our work together after the first 4 Sasquatch DNA samples were in-house and partially tested, she did what she thought she had to do. Now, in my opinion, Substad is being extremely inconsistent, trying to play both sides, accusing Dr. Ketchum of being a greedy narcissist, then in the next statement praising her as a good scientist. I am reminded of the old saying that Substad was wanting to have his cake and eat it too. Along with Richard Substad, other research team members left the study during this time for various reasons. Another individual that left the team was Bob Schmalzbach. Schmalzbach was also involved in creating the LLC without Dr. Ketchum's knowledge or consent and was opposed to the new NDA for the same reasons as Substad. Schmalzbach would also leak information to the bloggers, along with starting his own blog talk radio show. In my opinion, he was responsible for many of the fallacious rumors concerning Dr. Ketchum. Derek Randalls was the main source of information for Lindsay. In the later stages of the project, both Substad and Schmalzbach had left early in the project, only having information concerning the mitochondrial DNA results. Randalls was caught on the phone with Lindsay by a member of the Olympic Project. Randalls was divulging detailed information about the results of the project. When Randalls was confronted by the team, his explanation was, "It needs to be out." I have 3 independent sources that have corroborated that Randalls was leaking information to Lindsay. Randalls was excluded from any information concerning the project from this point forward, which escalated the personal attacks. The Bigfoot research community, along with the general public, was/is ignorant of how scientific studies are conducted. When preparing a scientific study for peer review, confidentiality is imperative. A study of this significance concerning such a controversial subject needed to be kept under wraps until after the peer review. A nationally or internationally known journal would not accept a paper for review if there were detailed information concerning the study in the public domain. This is why making public detailed information concerning the findings of the study were so damaging. The leaks from Substad, Schmalzbach, and Randalls would also begin a period of unprecedented personal attacks, lies, misinformation, unsubstantiated claims, and rumors. The goal was to destroy Dr. Ketchum's reputation and discredit the study. And with that, that's the end of Chapter 6, NDAs and Naysayers. What we'll do is we'll finish that chapter up. I'll try to drop another chapter. We got Chapter 7 coming up. Guys, I really appreciate you so much. Please like, subscribe, and all that. If you'd like to get The Truth Denied, you can on Amazon. Just look up The Truth Denied. Get it. I think they're like $20, so you can have your own. You can follow along, whatever you want to do. But if not, please follow us here. It's a great thing. We'll try to do a live sometime this week. We'll talk about this in deeper thing. Always like to do the lives and all that. If you'd like to contact me, you can at tcarp1616@yahoo.com. You can also find me on Facebook or Instagram, tcarp outdoors, or you can find me on Instagram, tcarp1616. I've got my own channel, whatnot. You can DM me there. You can email me. If you need anything, I'll do my best to answer in a timely fashion. Guys, I really appreciate you. Love y'all, and God bless.